Hola, ¿qué tal? I'm NiZ, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. I started playing some typical Spanish and Valencian sounds like bumping, progressive, UK hard house, and trance, and I don't know. I started with this. My awakening as a DJ was at 15 in a club in Valencia called Rocola. And when I saw the DJ playing, it was, wow, I don't know what is doing this man, but for sure I want to do this. But techno came later, in 2016, or it was a long way, because I started playing at some friends' houses in an amateur way. But I never thought that it could be a profession, because it was 2001, and for a woman it was strange. It was a little bit, I don't know, I didn't see any woman playing in Valencia. Maybe one or two, but it wasn't a rule, it wasn't common. I started playing at home with techniques and at my friend's house, but I practiced at home with digital gear because techniques were super expensive for a teenager. And I don't know, I did for a long time as a hobby without any professional intention or whatever. But at some point I discovered another worlds, another scenes like metal, rock, goth movements and whatever. And I started to listen to this kind of music, and it's for me another big influence in my career. In one hand, the sounds of Valencia of the 90s and 2000, and on the other hand, the dark part with this kind of sounds and styles, more goth and more dark. Definitely dark. I did a lot of sport in these years, and in some point I had a lot of injuries because I did triathlon. So when my physiotherapist told me that I have to totally stop to run, I felt in a little depression because all my friends, my goals, my ambition, everything that made me happy in these years was collapsed and was stopped. So I decided to start again, to restart play, and in this point was when techno appears. My first experience as a clubber in Barcelona was Razzmatazz, because when I moved to Barcelona, I had two mantras in my head. It was, I want to live in Gracia and I want to go to Razzmatazz. So Razzmatazz was my first clubby experience at Barcelona, but what impacted me the most was Moog, because Moog it's a club with a super special energy vibe, super underground club, etc. So I started to go every Sunday because I quit my job and I was studying music production. I had more free time, so I started to go mostly every Sunday, and for me it was, wow, I love this. I love this club, I love this vibe, and I started playing there at 2019, I think. And in 2022, they proposed me to join them as a resident. It has been a super nutritive experience as a professional, as a DJ, because I used to play 5 hours once a month, and in Spain we say es hacer la mili. Like to do military service as a DJ because you learn everything. And one thing that people doesn't know, that at Moog, the residents do everything. Lights, smoke, to set up the booth or being a host when a guest is coming. It's a fucking milli. You learn everything about the club. So for me, it has been a super rich experience, and I'm very proud of myself and of the process. And I quit my residency 2 months ago, but I love this club, and for me, it's gonna have a space in my heart. I work for BBDO as a copywriter 6 years. BBDO is one of the biggest companies in the world. And 3 years for FCB, another big company. And since 2018, I worked as a freelance copywriter. Now it's complicated to mix all my jobs. And I'm not working a lot in advertising, but yes, I'm a copywriter. It's sad, but I think now music industry is mostly marketing. So for me, it's an advantage because I have the tools, I have the knowledge, I have experience, I have communication abilities, and I think I have a treasure in comparison with other artists because it's a gift. It's not a gift because I work a lot in this, but it's a real advantage now. And I have my own communication agency because I'm the agency. For sure. If I had the opportunity to push a button to destroy social media, I will do it. I will do it because for me music is passion, is art, is authenticity. Obviously I try to explode or to manage every tool I have, like social media, like my capacity to communicate, etc. But for me the music is the center and it's the priority. So yes, for sure, I started playing when social media, the internet wasn't there. So no, music is for me the real motivation to do this. So yes, for sure. I think each set has its own magic, its own essence, its own peculiarity. So, I don't know. Maybe now, because I did a lot of warm-ups and I did a lot of closing of big stars, maybe now that I'm starting to be the headliner in some small clubs and small festivals and wherever, maybe now it's time to explore my peak time hour and with my total or 100% personality as an artist. Because when you have to do a warm-up or a closing, you have to adapt. I always say that I never play music that I don't like, but you have to adapt. In some way you have to adapt to open a set. When you are not the star or the main star, you have to work in some way for this star. So starting to be a star is more free for you and it's more you. So maybe now I prefer big time, but warm-ups for me are magic because you start from zero, from an empty dance floor and with pallid faces and no expression faces. When you start to see smiles and eyes and first movements and the people start to get closer to you, it's magic. For me it's magic. And in a closing you are here and it's super complicated to close a big artist because they has the full attention and you have to maintain without losing your identity, and it's super complicated to do a closing when you are not the headliner. Super important because when I introduce myself in a communication area, I say about me, I'm a storyteller. So I'm a storyteller on the dance floor too. Normally I plan a point A, a point B, and in the middle, we will see, but I know where the story starts and where the story ends. So in the middle, let's create, let's be spontaneous and magical, but A and B has to be clear. It's really complicated for me, this, because I'm a super obsessive person and workaholic and pathologically perfectionist. So I have a lot of problems to separate work and personal life, and in this moment it's been hard. But I try to do a lot of sport, as all my life I did, and cultivate or not lose a relationship outside the music industry. I think if you have another kind of conversation, another kind of plans, another kind of people around you, maybe your mental health is better than if you are always with boom, 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 and always talking about how is this, how is that, this is terrible, this is the music industry, blah, blah, blah. Your feedback, your own negativity and your own problems and your own, I don't know, demoniac, devil thoughts. And to live out of this industry is necessary. In this moment, yes, a little bit. Because when you are growing as an artist or as a professional in wherever, you have to choose your way and your opportunities, but you have to be everywhere. I'm starting to say no to super small parties or super small budgets, because I have to sell well myself. In some point I have to start to sell well my product as a DJ, as a producer, that I think is really good. I'm super proud of myself and of my work. So I'm starting to say no to super small things, but I'm full of tasks, because I do a lot of things despite mixing and producing. I do videos in my social media, I design my own press kit, I write my own text, I do everything. So I'm full of tasks and I'm a little bit tired and confusing. I think on a point I have to stop some things, restart in some areas and to collaborate with some extra partners, because I'm really tired, really tired. I'm always learning, but as a DJ I feel super comfortable because I'm playing since 2000. But as a producer, I'm frustrated because I wanted to be faster. I'm a faster girl. I want to do everything faster. I have a lack of knowledge about music language because I studied 1 year of harmony, but it's not enough for me because I have a lot of ideas, but I spend a lot of time trying to put my brain into the Ableton. So for me, to study music would be an upgrade in my career, and in some point I think I will do it because I need to be faster in my creative process, because in the future I would try another things in music, to be a singer or to have a band, or I don't know, but I wanted to study music. Yesterday I saw a video of an artist I really respect, is David Mazer, and he said, you have to create for yourself. If you don't create for yourself, you are lost. And for me it's that. If you don't trust in your process, in your creativity and in your ideas and your authenticity, you're lost as an artist. If you always depend on audience or trends or music industry, you will be always changing, but not from inside to outside. Bad conditioning about what are you surrounded. And for me, it's not the correct process in creativity. I don't know. I need to hear my needs and my thoughts and my fears and my anxiety, talking or singing or screaming sometimes, and put all this in a piece. I don't know, writing, music or dancing. I do a lot of creative things, and for me it's from inside to outside always. For me this is art, this is creation. Other things are industry or are marketing or are, it's okay. And of course, I'm not the most underground person. I'm not the most experimental DJ or producer, not. But I try to listen myself and then put it into an art piece. I'm super slow producer and I hate it, but in this moment it's like this and pues es lo que hay. I'm a faster girl. I like everything fast. I walk fast, I speak fast, not in English, sorry. But sometimes I start making a track. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I need to do something. And other times I have a synth idea or a bass idea or a vocal idea, I don't know. So I start in different ways, but the process normally is 1 month. Yeah, I'm super slow because I do a lot of things. So the person who mix and master my tracks, Dave Sinner, who is a friend and a super good producer, he always tells me that you don't have to have 5 hours to go to the studio. Try to do 1 hour every day and not disconnect to the process, to the creativity, because if you leave the studio 1 month, when you come back, you don't understand anything. You don't understand Ableton, you don't understand what were you doing in the past 1 month ago. So I'm trying to 1 hour a day, but some days it's really complicated for me, but to open my Ableton and see my project and okay, what is this, okay, this is not, okay, ya está. It's like training. If you stop going to the gym, when you come back, you will be unfit and you will suffer, for sure. And for me, in the production, it's the same. So let's train. In life, always alone. I'm a lonely wolf. When I work in an advertising agency, I used to work in big teams, and for me, suffering because I'm super quick. and I'm super organized, and depending on other people, for me it's a weight, it's heavy, it's a baggage. So to collaborate is okay, but you do your part, I do my part, but everything together, I don't like. And back to back, it's sometimes with my friend Lucia Gea, who is a resident of Spook, a mega super club in Valencia. We did in the past a lot of back to backs, but it's Lucia, it's my friend, and we know each other, but I'm a particular DJ. I have old school techniques and my own way to understand the storytelling and the mixes and the EQ, and another hand in my mix and my I'm a little bit cat in this. So I prefer to work alone, yes. I don't do my mixing because I have no acoustics. I have my studio at home. It's a home studio, and I prefer to delegate the technical part to someone who has the acoustics and a big studio, a professional studio, and the ears prepared to do this. I pay and it's everything okay. It's my friend. We think the same. Sometimes we are in the studio working together, and I say, what if we do this in A or G, or if we change to G, or I was thinking the same. Perfect, tío. Ya está. Let's do it. So I delegate mixing and mastering. So for me, the hardest part is the arrangement, because I start to know this. I'm crazy. So I enjoy the most with the playing part, like a child, to put this, tiki tiki tuku tuku, with my 303 or the tier 8, or I like to play as a child. This is for me the best part. Later is turning complicated. I will finish before if I tell you what I'm not listening, because I listen everything. I love, of course, rock, metal, new wave, dark wave, post-punk, synth pop, the darkest part and the guitar part. But I listen to jazz, classical jazz, minimalistic composers. I love Eric Satie and Arvo Part. I love it. I listen to country. I love country. Yes. I don't know, everything. I love salsa, Latin music, I'm sorry, but I'm not a sabrosura woman. I hate Latin music, but salsa, yes, because in some way it's dance floor music. You know what I mean? It's fast, it's groovy, it's fun, it's for dance. But I don't like reggaeton, I don't like bachata, or I'm sorry, guys, Latin guys and girls, but I hate it. I don't like pop. Radio stuff, I hate radio stuff. I don't like. I prefer Brian Eno or experimental music to landscapes to write, for example. I write a lot. So I usually listen this kind of textures or sound landscapes, like Brian Eno, or industrial textures from warehouses. I don't know, strange things to concentrate and to focus. And I started to listen alpha waves with frequencies to concentrate, to sleep, to potential the creativity, and I'm a little bit crazy, sorry. It's one frequency, I don't know, 437, and it's and they put some music to make it more friendly to your ears, but in the deep, it's one frequency. My two lovers are Dax J and Dave the Drummer because of the sound. Regal too, Regal for the acid and trancy part. And Woman, I love Imogen. As a DJ and as a producer, I love her. And it's not completely my kind of music or my style, but I love Bloody Mary. I love her. I love her music. She played last year or 2 years ago in Off Week in Barcelona, back to back with Alienata, and it was wow. Alienata too. I love Alienata and Discos Atónicos, her label. And yes, I love to mix things that in a first impression that are not going to match. So maybe she is more electro acid, but maybe will sort something special or magical. So Hitchcock. Because my favorite film is North by Northwest. I used to watch it over and over and over when I was a child because my parents are super film lovers and I watched it over and over again. And yeah, maybe in a shooting with Hitchcock. I think one of my favorite words now, because I think the world has a lack of it, is authenticity. So I think I'm going to work a lot to spread these authenticity vibes and authenticity feelings and these authenticity communications. I don't know. I think art and culture now in this moment of the history needs more authenticity. So in my small contribution, I want to be this, to inspire with authenticity and spread this plaga. It's a nice plaga. I think the biggest gig on my career on August is Aquasella Fest. I'm opening the main stage on Friday, so I'm super happy, super proud, because I have never been in Aquasella as an audience. So I'm going to go for the first time as a DJ. And I'm going to stay all weekend, playing the first day and partying the rest of the days. So yes, I'm playing on Friday at 7 p.m. The main stage and the open air stage. And in the other stage, I'm playing with Andres Campo, I'm playing with Pauloski, Nico Moreno, Fatima Haji, big names of the commercial scene. But in the other stage, there are two, Tensal, who is Asturian artist who I love, Ellen Alien, Freddie K, back-to-back, Lady Machine, oh my God. There's a lot of techno artists who I love, who I respect. So I'm super happy. So people of Spain, come there and dance with me and this marvelous venue because it's in the forest with the lake and it's perfect. I have my YouTube channel where I upload my live sessions and some of my contents that in Instagram are shorter are longer in my YouTube channel. I have my SoundCloud with more live sessions, and I have a mentoring for DJs in producciononline.com. It's in Spanish, but if some people of Spain is watching this, I talk about my career, my short career, or my tricks and tools and how I do this, or how I manage my socials, or how to exploit maximum record box. Because people don't know how Rekordbox can be as a creative tool to prepare sessions, to find your music, because when you have a lot of music, if you have no order, if you have no folders or tags, the task is going to be more complicated if you know tricks and the mentor is about this and about how to read the dance floor, how to prepare you mentally for a long session, a lot of things in 8 chapters. It's almost 5 hours of las turritas de la NiZ. And I think it's very interesting. I'm working on my first EP because this summer I have not a lot of gigs, so I decided to focus on production because I hate summer. I hate the heat and the happiness of summer and everybody shouting loud. No, okay. I'm focused on my production area. So I'm working on my first EP, and I have 2 or 3 which I want to work on, and I want to study English to do better interviews like this. And I think I'm focused on production area, 3 or 4 gigs in the summer, but I'm focused on the production because I need to improve my tools, and I know that to publish in international labels or national labels too, but important labels, are the key to upload my career and to start to going more on an international gigs. So let's do it. Pathologically perfectionist. Espera. Yeah. Yes, my friends. You can be a DJ and a trial lead, but not together. Me espera todavía 2 semanas. Ahora luego me voy a ir a mi pueblo, a San Juan, voy a estar en mi pueblo así, en la piscina, diciendo que no me hable nadie. No, o sea, es que es alucinante lo que quiere decir esta persona. Tengo aquí a Yoda, que va a salir en cualquier momento. A ver, ¿qué estaba diciendo? Por ejemplo, me pongo un poco nerviosa porque yo hago mezclas muy largas. Esto no lo pongas. Put this, tiki tiki, tuku tuku, España es un poco el coño de la Bernarda, la verdad. Hay cultura de la fiesta, pero no de club. Yeah. Es lo que falta, cultura de club. Está concisa.
Joder.
Poco a poco. Arrieritos somos, esa es mi frase favorita. Arrieritos somos y en el camino nos encontraremos.
Te lo voy a poner en las dos falsas.